For now, we all know the dangers of cave exploration, right? But for some, they can't resist the thrill. They're irresistibly drawn to the beauty of nature, determined to witness its raw majesty firsthand rather than through the eyes of others. Now imagine being trapped in a pitch-black cave, the air cold and damp, with no sense of direction or escape. The oppressive darkness presses in on you, and your only company is the lifeless body of a dear friend. The silence is suffocating, broken only by your own shallow breaths and the haunting echoes of despair. What would you do? This is Fatal Tragedies, with the story of cave divers that had the worst deaths possible.
First things first, the Cave of Cova del Arquet. Cova del Arquet is a limestone cave in the Morning area, measuring around 262 feet in length. It's a favorite spot for underwater photography enthusiasts and attracts many divers because of its accessibility and clear visibility. Locals often choose it as a common dive site. Upon reaching the location, the dive begins, and you'll continue for another 164 to 196 feet along the sea bottom until you find the entrance mouth. The entrance descends about 33 feet below the sea surface. The opening is approximately 8 feet wide, leading to a rising conduit filled with stones reaching up to 13 feet. The cave extends to a depth of around 131 feet, typically suitable for experienced divers. Despite its reputation as a seemingly easy dive, Cova del Arquet holds a mysterious secret that has captivated expert divers. Towards the end of the cave, there's a smaller opening that leads to a murky cavity. What makes it truly intriguing is that, until now, no one has successfully navigated through this opening. Its obscurity, coupled with the unpredictable visibility depending on sea conditions, adds an element of challenge and mystique. For quite some time, this cave remained a hidden gem known only to a select group of divers exploring the captivating coast of Lys Estate. The unexplored passage at the cave's end adds an air of adventure and the unknown, making it a tantalizing mystery for those brave enough to dive into its depths. But the cave couldn't stay a secret for too long, especially when the sun lit up the blue waters, making their adventurous hearts sparkle. On a Saturday morning, July 19, 2014, four friends sailed from Les Ostres port. Their friendship and passion for exploring pushed them toward the captivating beauty of Captain Labari, an amazing cliff formed when the Médis Islands broke away from the mainland thousands of years ago. Little did they know what awaited them ahead of their exploration. The dive begins. Under the water, there was a tricky maze of caves made by the same forces that shaped the big cliff. Not scared of the possible dangers, three friends, Ricard, Dionisio, with another friend whose name we don't know, got ready with their diving gear. They were excited to explore the secrets underwater. At the same time, the fourth friend stayed up above, keeping a close eye to make sure they stayed safe during this bold adventure. Without any ropes or clear signs to guide them, the brave trio swam in and out of numerous underwater caves. Each cave had its own special beauty, filled with beautifully patterned rocks and a variety of sea creatures. Among their discoveries, they stumbled upon the entrance of the Cova del Arquet, also known as the Cave of the Lobsters. The entrance went about 33 feet below the sea surface, tempting them to explore further. If it was a movie scene, this is the place you wish to tell the actor not to go that way. Lit by their flashlights, Ricard, Dionisio, and their diving friend ventured 148 feet into the underwater stretch of the Arquet's cave. This part of the cave was known for lobsters, earning it the second name. But as the rocky part ended, the grotto's texture changed. It shifted from rock to clay, leading to a narrow, unexplored area. Their friend began to feel scared. Through hand signals, he made it clear he wanted to go back up. Respecting his decision, Ricard and Dionisio understood and agreed, but little did they know that continuing without him would be a fatal mistake. Lost in darkness. Ricard and Dionisio kept swimming, covering an extra 115 feet along the sea bottom. But with each kick of their flippers, the water got cloudier. Despite the decreasing visibility, they were determined to keep exploring. When they hit 262 feet, they both agreed it was time to end their dive. However, an unexpected challenge awaited them. The silt in the water made them lose their sense of direction completely. Their movement stirred up the sediment, turning the water into a murky haze. Little did they know the path they took created a thick cloud of muddy water, forming a confusing black wall behind them. The way they came was now hidden, wrapped in a dark and unclear mess without any visual clues. Ricard and Dionisio found themselves in a tough spot with no obvious way out. The situation got even worse as they realized their air supply was running critically low in their diving tanks. The search for an exit turned into a race against time. Just when things seemed bleak, they saw a tiny crack in the ceiling above. A faint glimmer of light peeked through, tempting them to explore. Fueled by desperation and determination, they swam toward the crack, their hearts racing. In a bold move, Ricard and Dionisio took a risky gamble, deciding to squeeze through the unknown crack, unaware of where it might lead them. The miraculous escape. The tight passage pressed against their chests and backs as they moved forward. With every inch gained, the fear of a possible dead end closing in, sealing their fate by suffocation, weighed heavily on the two. The passage angled upwards towards the surface, about 262 feet from the cave entrance. It led them to an underground lake, a pocket of air, as if it had been waiting for them for centuries. Taking off their equipment, Ricard and Dionisio, with their heads out of the water and bodies partly submerged, felt like they had just cheated death. They took the chance to celebrate their miraculous escape, capturing the incredible turn of events in a couple of photos. One picture showed Ricard, his face filled with a mix of relief and excitement. The other featured Dionisio, his expression a mix of gratitude and disbelief. And the unexpected twist that awaited the Gaius rescue divers who would find them alive, Ricard and Dionisio found solace in a renewed sense of humor. As time passed, worry grew among Ricard and Dionisio's friends on the surface. The Gaius of Liscarded team, responsible for securing open water swimmers and captive crews, was on duty that morning. Around 11 in the morning, a distress call reached the team from the concerned friends of Ricard and Dionisio. Corporal Fernando Aguirre, the Gaius group leader, quickly organized the team for an urgent return trip to the dive site before nightfall. Though they had little hope, they realized that by now, the air in Ricard and Dionisio's cylinders would likely have run out, leading to a tragic drowning. Unbeknownst to those on the surface, Ricard and Dionisio were still trapped within the air pocket they had found. The bubble, about 322 square feet in size and 4.9 feet high, felt like a refuge in the midst of their ordeal. It held a substantial amount of air, estimated to be around 1,236 cubic feet. However, their prolonged stay within the confined space had serious consequences. Death. Why, you ask? Well, breathing, crucial as it was, gradually filled the limited airspace with carbon dioxide, silently and insidiously poisoning Ricard and Dionisio within the refuge that they sought. Unbeknownst to them, the invisible gas jeopardized their survival. As time passed, the rising levels of CO2 in the air pocket took its toll. The once life-giving oxygen was replaced by this toxic byproduct, affecting their cognitive and physical functions. Ricard and Dionisio, realizing the danger, felt the insidious effects impairing their abilities. As time wore on, their plight became more dire. Hydration, disorientation, and hypothermia weighed heavily on their weakened bodies. Ricard, particularly, bore the brunt of the carbon dioxide, experiencing its impact severely. Their once vibrant spirits faded, replaced by a somber resignation to their grim fate. In their struggle, Ricard's strength dwindled, making it harder to stay above the water. Dionisio, summoning every ounce of strength, managed to pull Ricard's almost lifeless body back above the surface, fighting against the looming doom. 5 excruciating hours passed, taking a devastating toll on Ricard and Denisio. With no air left in their tanks and the silt-laden freezing water, the air pocket that once sustained them became their silent executioner. Cognitive and physical paralysis set in, rendering them helpless. Ricard's weakened body slipped into the water again, beyond his control. In a heart-wrenching moment, Denisio, drained of strength, could only watch as his friend's lifeless body sank. Alone and with no energy left to stay afloat, Denisio was certain that he would die as well. At 5 in the evening, a Gaius team led by Corporal Aguirre entered the cave with a fellow diver. With determination, they ventured into the challenging and rocky terrain, swimming 148 feet, propelled by the relentless pursuit of finding Ricard and Denisio. Their progress was abruptly halted as they encountered the murky aftermath of the victims' frantic escape, swirling sediment, obscuring their vision. The corporal activated the Guardia Civil's National Speleo Diving Group, preparing for the rescue. Biologists, diving centers, underwater photographers, and fishermen were called, but their knowledge of the cave was limited. The search resumed on Sunday with little hope of finding them alive. Specialists from all over the region arrived in the early morning to assist. The incident became public, attracting dozens of journalists on the second day. They followed the line set up by the corporal and his partner from the port. The first 2 divers reached the clay area with improved visibility after the mud settled during the night. The fissure, where Ricard and Denisio had fled, was visible. The diver who entered first realized turning around was impossible due to the narrowness. Proceeding forward, he reached the bubble where Ricard and Denisio were found. In that underground lake, the civil guard's flashlight revealed Ricard's lifeless body floating in his neoprene suit and Denisio clinging to the rock, emitting a moan of agony as he exhaled his last breath. A miraculous survivor, Denisio, utterly stunned, was disoriented, dehydrated, hypothermic, and breathing heavily. He refused to wear air equipment, so the rescue diver had to administer oxygen by emptying several bottles in front of his face, brought on various strips. Isotonic drinks followed, but convincing him to follow and submerge again proved challenging. Denisio, confused and unfamiliar with the surroundings and rescuers, resisted collaboration. As such, the corporal quickly surfaced and convinced Denisio's diving friend, who was with him, to join in the effort to save Denisio. Not completely comfortable with this, the friend decided it was necessary. Aware of the danger this rescue mission posed, he followed the corporal into the cave with other rescue divers. They made their way down to the cavern with breathable air. Seeing a friendly and familiar face improved the situation greatly. By that afternoon, the corporal decided to sedate Denisio because time was running out, realizing it was the only way to get him out alive. And no more than 24 hours after entering the cave, Denisio finally emerged, accompanied by the corporal, the rescue team, and his friend. With Denisio safe, they had to return to recover Ricard's body. Denisio became the first diver in Spain to survive such an accident. After the media attention settled, the corporal initiated a thorough investigation to understand why the dive ended tragically. He conducted a 3-year investigation into the events, concluding that Ricard died due to hypercapnia, a condition where there's too much carbon dioxide in the bloodstream, which can be fatal, as seen in Ricard's case. The report highlighted that both divers lacked the necessary training and took excessive risks, especially diving without threat installation. Rumors spread during the investigation, suggesting Denisio's responsibility or a lack of help to Ricard. However, the report clarified that Denisio tried twice to save Ricard, recorded on their dive computers. Denisio didn't want to comment on the events, as those involved reflect on the haunting events that transpired in the cave in 2014. It's a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the thin line between triumph and tragedy, emphasizing the importance of using a rope for cave divers to ensure a safe return.
Talking about a safe return, this next diver never made it back either.
The Polonora Cave. Speaking of cave diving, one of these underground systems is the Polonora Cave, which has been graced by the presence of many cave divers and was greatly explored by a diver named Artur Kozlowski. The cave, situated in Kiltartan County, Galloway, Ireland, lies beneath a majestic beech tree on John Nolan's farmland. The cave holds a rich history, with the steps bearing imprints from a time when the community regularly fetched water from its well. The remarkable feature of Polonora Cave is its consistent water supply, even during dry seasons with minimal rainfall. The secret lies in the cave's limestone landscape, characterized by karst formations and underground streams that are more prone to flooding than drought. Approximately 196 feet north of Nolan's farmland is the entrance to Polonora Cave. Upon entering, one encounters a shaft that deposits thick layers of fine clay, covering the cave floor. Divers need to be cautious, as disturbing this area results in a complete loss of visibility, and the settled particles take a considerable time to clear. The cave's roof is made up of boulder clay and loose rocks, creating a unique underground environment. While many shafts have been explored, indicating a significant length and depth, there are still numerous undiscovered mysteries waiting to be unveiled within the depths of Polonora Cave. Now, approaching the forbidden Polonora Caves was a big no-no, with locals always scared that the ground might just collapse if someone got too close. The cave had this mystical reputation because of the lurking danger inside. These caves were the leftovers of an ancient underground system filled with collapsed caves, water parts, and hidden caverns. Kozlowski caught wind of the Polonora Caves and got super interested in being the first to map them out entirely. But let me tell you what, it was risky business. Diving in those caves meant facing numerous dangers. Disorientation could hit if your dive line broke, or worse, if you didn't have one set up. Poisonous gas pockets lurked in the water-filled caves, and gas narcosis could mess with your head. Being deep underwater meant panicking was a real threat. A freaked-out diver might grab your gear, rip off your dive mask, or kick up sediment, leaving you clueless about which way is up. And if your lights went kaput, well, you'd be trapped in the dark. Plus, you couldn't just swim to the surface if things went south. You had to navigate the same maze that took you deep into the cave. And don't forget, you're always running out of air. Despite all of these risks, the mysterious allure of the Polonora Caves had Artur Kozlowski hooked. Speaking of, here's a little of Artur Kozlowski's life. Artur Konrad Kozlowski, born on October 17, 1977, was a highly talented and dedicated cave explorer. Throughout his life, he achieved significant success by exploring new caves and connecting different cave systems, pushing the boundaries of cave diving depth in Great Britain and Ireland. In 2006, he made a remarkable dive, reaching a depth of 338 feet. Originally from Poznan, Poland, Artur relocated to Ireland, where he spent his final years before his passing in 2011. In Poland, he worked as a quantity surveyor, and he continued his professional pursuits in his new environment. Notably, he contributed to projects such as the Aviva Stadium and Houston Square developments in Dublin. Additionally, he played a role in compiling maps for Galway County Council and the National Roads Authority, particularly for the design and development of the M18 motorway. While he was already a qualified diver with 13 warm water dives under his belt before arriving in Ireland, his interest in underwater exploration reached new heights in the country. Despite his proficiency as an open water diver, he recognized the distinctive challenges of cave diving, understanding that it required a different set of skills than the graceful floating experienced in open waters. And caves have many awful tight turns, many of which are dark and challenging. The uncertainty of what lies beyond the next turn adds an element of mystery, requiring individuals to navigate and decipher the cave's secrets on their own. Venturing into uncharted territories within a cave is a journey toward potential discoveries, but it also entails engaging in perilous maneuvers. This is why cave diving demands a diver's exceptional training and skills. And so, what did he do? In 2007, recognizing the need for specialized training, he underwent cave dive training with Martin Farr, a renowned Welsh cave diver instructor widely regarded as one of the best in Ireland. To hone his skills, Artur chose Hell Complex, a part of the Greenholes group of underwater sea caves located off Dolan, County Clare, as his training ground. This experience equipped him with the expertise required to navigate the intricate and challenging underwater cave systems. Artur's discoveries and achievements. Upon commencing his cave diving endeavors shortly after completing his training, he delved into exploring and mapping previously undiscovered passages. His initial breakthrough came with the first traverse between Hell's Kitchen and Robertson's Cave near Reef Complex. He played a pivotal role in extending cave systems in both Ireland and Spain, leaving a lasting mark on the exploration landscape. One of his most noteworthy achievements was the extension of the Marble Arch cave system in County Fermanagh. Artur's diving connections to Prads Pot Cascades doubled the cave system's length from 2.7 miles to an impressive 6 miles. These connections were later linked to the newly established Monastery Sink Upper Cradle system, expanding its reach to 7.1 miles, making it the longest cave in Northern Ireland. He not only set records for the longest cave, but also established another milestone for the deepest cave in Great Britain and Ireland, located in Plotamary near Killavally, County Mayo, Ireland. This cave system reaches a depth of 338 feet. His achievements in cave exploration included navigating the challenging underwater passages of the Fort region, covering a distance of 6.2 miles. Additionally, he discovered and explored Polandro, the third deepest sump in Great Britain and Ireland, measuring 0.6 miles in length and reaching a depth of 269 feet. In recognition of his outstanding contributions to cave exploration, he received an award at the annual Polish Travel and Outdoor Sports event held in Gdynia in March of 2011. During a dive that tugged at his heart, on Sunday, September 4th, 2011, he found himself inside a cave surrounded by loud rumbling. Anxious, he checked his gear, fearing a cave collapse or earthquakes. Terrified at the thought of being trapped, he listened closely and discovered it was just traffic noise from the road above. Artur, making strides in mapping the Planora cave system, had only 3 caves left. His mission was to connect Poldolan and Poltafil, tackling the most dangerous Planar 10. The success of this mission would prove a connection between the 2 caves. He believed forging the connection from Poltafil in 2009 would be easier. Leaving his dive line about a mile from the entrance, he entered Potterville. Additional ropes were set up at the surface for a possible retreat. Facing a powerful flow, he descended carefully to 69 feet, pausing at this unprecedented depth. Despite the heavy flow behind him, Artur, in control, knew the risks ahead. At that depth, a descending channel emerged. He reached 196 feet, but panic set in as his diving line broke. Descending further, he expected to see the large reel tied the year before. Instead, the line was loose, tied behind a small boulder. In this extremely scary situation, he attached a fresh reel, navigating a narrow and sharp passage. The passage rose, then descended across a level, clean floor, revealing the unpredictable challenges of cave exploration. However, Artur realized he was still moving in the right direction, having faith he was on the correct track. After 2.5 years and 45 dives on both sides, he was shocked to discover the connection with Poldolan. Yet, the moment held a surprising emotion for him. Instead of elation, he felt sadness. Perhaps because it was all over. After numerous challenging and exhausting dives with close calls, the link between Palafil and Poldolan was finally found, a significant achievement for Artur. However, he still had one more task: mapping out Planora 10, Foley, the demise descent. With careful preparation, time, and multiple dives, Artur attempted this daunting task over a weekend. On Monday, September 5th in 2011, he went diving as usual, depositing stage oxygen bottles for decompression and emergencies. Knowing the risks, he made arrangements with friends to raise the alarm if he didn't return by 9 p.m. At 2 p.m., Artur went into the cave, telling his friends he'd be out by 5 p.m. Since it was a super rainy day, his pals chilled out while Artur explored underwater. But when 5 p.m. rolled around and he didn't show up, his friends got worried. Since they weren't expert divers, they reached out to their more experienced buddies, and soon the whole crew was on high alert. Entering Planora 10, Artur had about 6 hours before needing to come out due to air limitations. He pushed himself through confined sections, swiftly moving toward his dream of fully mapping the cave. However, when he wasn't back by 5 p.m., concern grew among his friends, leading to the involvement of professional rescue divers. As news spread, media activity heightened in the local town. Specialist search and rescue teams from Ireland, Wales, and England joined the rescue attempt. Unfortunately, the hope of finding Artur alive diminished quickly due to the challenging cave conditions. Conflicting reports emerged, suggesting Artur had gone too far, or that even if his body was found, bringing it to the surface might be impossible. Despite the uncertainty, they held on to the hope that Artur, experienced in handling close calls, would find a way to survive until supplemental oxygen could be delivered. Recovering Artur's body. The initial search was coordinated by Artur's friend, Jim Marney, who was devastated by the situation. The local town became a hive of media activity as everyone anxiously awaited news about Artur's fate. Jim, renowned as one of the area's most skilled divers, was seen as the person with the best chance of rescuing Artur. The devoted father risked his life, dropping everything to bring Artur back to his family. As a member of the Irish Cave Rescue Organization, Jim spent Monday night tirelessly searching for possible air pockets within the cave, where he thought Artur might be hiding. Despite the extreme danger, Jim conducted dive after dive, inspecting various areas of the cave. On Monday night, when hope seemed to dwindle, Jim discovered a dive line that Artur had set up, running the entire length of the cave. British cave divers Rick Stanton and John Bellathan, considered among the best in Europe, were called in to assist in the rescue mission due to their extensive experience and training in technical diving environments. Arriving in Ireland on Wednesday evening, over 48 hours since the initial alarm, they joined Jim inside the cave, diving down 1,200 feet without success. Simultaneously, Jim explored an unsearched part of the 800-meter wide cave, about 52 meters deep. Connor McGrath of the Irish Cave Rescue Organization revealed the discovery of a large airspace halfway into the cave, providing hope that Artur might be inside. Another airspace near the surface added to their optimism. Locals, though aware of the cave's dangers, respected Artur's courage in taking on the challenging mission of mapping it. The skilled diver's decision to explore the cave was seen as an honor by the community. Tragically, Jim Warner found Artur's body in an underwater passage around 6 p.m. on Wednesday. It took Jim an hour to dive into the narrow passage where Artur's body lay, fully equipped with oxygen tanks and a guide rope, just over a mile from the cave's entrance. Artur's situation was heart-wrenching as he couldn't find an air pocket with enough oxygen to survive. While being able to bring his body back to the surface and Jim's discovery provided some consolation, Artur was given the highest respect when his lifeless body was brought above ground. A doctor confirmed his demise, and he was taken to University College Hospital Galway for a post-mortem examination. However, the autopsy report contradicted the assumption of a lack of air, as he had sufficient supply for more than 6 hours, planning only a 3-hour dive. When his body was recovered, all of his equipment remained intact and attached. So the question remains, what could have taken the life of an experienced diver? No one can tell. News of Artur's story spread throughout the nation, and when his passing was confirmed, the entire country mourned together. The realization that they would never see him again left everyone deeply saddened. His friends, devastated by his loss, paid tribute by creating a film about his life called Riders of the Storm, featuring footage from his own camera. The film was screened by the Sub-Aqua Societies of Trinity College Dublin and University College Galway, earning a prestige award at a Polish film festival. Despite the inherent risks of cave diving, Artur remained passionately devoted to the sport until the very end. His unwavering commitment reflects a trait shared by many successful individuals, an undeterred pursuit of their passions, even in the face of death. Artur went beyond the limit set by his mentor, Martin Farr, the Welsh cave diving instructor. His legacy lives on in the cave diving community through his discoveries of new caves. While recognizing Artur's impact on his community and the world, the Irish Speleology planned a memorial for him in August 2012 to be held in Polonora Cave. Artur's contributions made him a true hero in the eyes of the Kiltartan community, his friends, and his family. And in 2013, a fundraising page was created to collect funds for a headstone for Kozlowski's grave in Kiltartan and a plaque at the entrance to Polonora 10. The engraving of the plaque and headstone was done by a stonemason based in Gort on September 6, 2014, marking the 3rd anniversary of Kozlowski's passing. Friends and family gathered for the unveiling of the gravestone and plaque.
Well, Artur's story has kept me wondering what could have possibly led to the untimely end of this experienced cave diver, despite careful planning and adequate equipment. Either way, imagine you're in the face of unknown challenges like Dionisio and Ricard. What do you think is the key to ensuring a safe return? Share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.